You were inside to hear those arguments. Why is it so important that this not go through?
Well, because our Constitution requires an accurate count. Our taxpayers depend on it, and our democracy depends on it. The numbers that come out of the census are what's used for our representation. It's the basis of our democracy. It's used to distribute over $700 billion annually for needs for people. And data, good data. If you don't have good data, then you don't have good plans for the future. Businesses depend on it. Government depends on it. And the whole purpose of the census is to be accurate. So why in the world would you add a question that all the professionals are saying would decrease the accuracy by a minimum of 5.8%, which is roughly 6 million people? We have states that have less population than 6 million people, so it's important.
You are the co-chair of the House Census Caucus. You're also the author of the Census Idea Act, which would remove the citizenship question from the census to prevent last-minute additions in the future. Now, you know this. Republicans are going to say, hey, this is crucial to get this question on there to help in terms of security issues, as well as to be able to see precisely who's in the country. Your response to those Republicans?
Well, we already get the number with the American Community Survey, which is a long form, and we have since 1956 gathered that information on the long form. The purpose of the short form census is to get an accurate count, and that's why it has been so debated. There have been 3 federal cases that justices came out and said that adding the question was capricious and would lead to an undercount, that it had violated the Constitution and the requirement of enumeration. There's strong cases. My own city of New York, Tish James brought a lawsuit that 17 other states joined, and I did an amicus brief with 126 members of Congress. So there have been many decisions, and very telling to me was a letter that former heads of the Census Department wrote. So this was both Republicans and Democrats saying, please don't add this question. It will result in an undercount.
It's not just politicians, not just lawmakers and previous officials, but also Uber, also Lyft, also Levi Strauss. I mean, they've really come out against this question being added to the census. They say that it's going to impact and make an economic impact precisely because of the data that is used to calculate a lot of their economic decisions. How would this, if this were added, impact small businesses as well as the businesses that I just mentioned?
Well, it would impact small businesses in terms of services that you receive. It would be your roads, your transportation, your infrastructure for hospitals and so forth, but also it's planning. The Chamber of Commerce, all of the business organizations for both large and small use census data to project how many pizza parlors are needed in a neighborhood, how many Ubers or Lyfts are needed, how many people are going to have to be moving around. They can use these numbers to project what's needed in the future for their business model.
All right, we're here on a beautiful day in Washington, D.C.
Gorgeous.
It's kind of hot outside, and you've got this jacket on. Tell me about the jacket.
Well, this jacket is making a statement. This was given to me by fire officers and firefighters for passing a bill called the James Zadroga Health and Compensation Act, which gave health care to the first responders and survivors. That we lost 3,000 people on 9/11, but thousands more because they were sick and dying. And part of this bill was a victims' compensation fund, which is now running out of money because of all the cancers people are getting. So we need to replenish it and make it permanent. That's the least we can do as a grateful nation. They were there for us. We need to be there for them. I said I would wear the coat until we pass the bill, so I hope we pass the bill soon because it's getting very warm here in Washington.
It is. It's spring in Washington, and I do want to ask you about this House Democratic call that was yesterday with Speaker Pelosi, the issue of impeachment. What can you tell us about where things stand and the divide within the Democratic caucus on the issue of impeachment?
Well, you have to remember that the Mueller report was very focused on what it could look at, that it was looking at the influence of Russia. We have roughly 6 other committees conducting investigations, subpoenas, and so forth, looking into other areas. We have 3, 4, 5 district courts that are looking into other areas. So the investigation will continue. We need to get the facts. We were very focused on the Mueller report. We need to see that unredacted. I believe eventually we will get the full report. But right now there's a lot of work that's taking place in all of the committees and in front of various court systems across the country.